Greetings and blessings. Thank you for sharing this space with me. Today, I want to speak on behalf of a very personal topic, a very, I think, heated topic given today's circumstances, and one that is very close to my heart because of my personal experience regarding all these issues at hand. I am not an expert in the field of fertility, biology, those sorts of things. However, an expert is only someone with a certain accumulated knowledge. So therefore, anyone could be an expert. And also, I find that expertise is not infallible. And I am an expert in my experience, and that's what I share. And there are many sides to every experience and reality and perception, and this is just my little piece of the puzzle. And I feel very called to share it. It's very integral to my being, to my existence. So, to cut to the chase. I am a child of egg donation. I am a petri dish baby. I was created in a lab, in a test tube. I was not created in the natural sense. I did not grow in the womb of my biological mother. I was not raised by my biological mother per the choice of my parents, right? And so I'm here to talk about, I suppose, the infertility crisis that faces humanity. Because without the infertility crisis, these technologies probably would not exist, at least not in the way they do. They would not be spanning humanity in every facet of our conception, ideas, and beliefs without infertility. And also I want to talk about just the lived experience of someone who was created from these technologies. I will be 25 very soon. This not so immaculate conception story occurred in the late 90s. And essentially, my parents, my father, my biological father, and my birth mother, that's what I'm going to call her, the woman who raised me, they were having problems having children. They paid another woman who they chose to give them her eggs. She got paid, gave them her eggs. Some scientist somewhere mixed that egg and my father's sperm, created embryos, of which a few were implanted into my birth mother. And I, being the lowest grade, the D grade, the least likely to survive, I was the one that survived. And here I am. And my parents never hid this material fact from me. I never remember being told about this. It was always just a part of my reality. I knew the name of my biological mother, a relative age, and I had a letter she had wrote us about a year after I was born with a few pictures of her and stories that my birth mother had, what I now know, fabricated of this woman and her life, what it looked like while I was existing. So that was all I knew of half of my bloodline. And as a human being, as a girl, as a woman, as a soul, growing up not knowing half of my bloodline was strange, isolating at times, hard to understand, even now as an adult woman with my own children, very hard to understand truly the whole spectrum of what it is like to grow up not knowing half of yourself. Our blood is not irrelevant. Our ancestry is very important, from physical properties, characteristics, but also a deep spiritual sense. We know that trauma and many other things are passed down through our bloodlines, through our ancestry. So to not know half of that was hard to navigate. There are many things that I'm still learning about myself, that I'm still unweaving, that I'm still even just beginning to understand or accept, that come from this other half that I didn't know for still most of my life. And as much as I do believe I was created out of love, some sense of love, I do also believe that my feelings, my existence as a soul, as a being, as someone who has to navigate reality and learn what it means to be human, to be alive, to have connection to source, I do not believe these things were considered when I was being created. And I don't think that these things are considered for all the humans that are being created via these types of technologies nowadays. What I see happening is people have an infertility issue, or they are the same sex, so therefore they cannot create children naturally because that is not the design. And therefore they use these technologies because all these people feel like it is their right to have a child, and not a privilege and not a gift from the divine. It has become almost as if children are an accessory or a means to an ends. It feels very selfish to me. And now, in my childhood, my perspective probably lends its way to this perception of other people's actions, as well as my own parents. When I was around 10, my childhood, primarily my relationship with my birth mother, became very unstable, abusive, emotionally and mentally, spiritually. And so it led to a deeper questioning, a deeper pain, a deeper wound of womanhood, of mothers, of lineage, of blood, when she and I were having this conflict, which is still partly unresolved, although it's changed its face, right? This wound was created, and my own blood, the only blood that I actually knew, my father, was so wrapped up in his own stuff and his own stories, like everyone is. And he abandoned me. That's the way I perceive it. He literally left us and secretly had another family. And he was living this double life and disregarding me. He saw the abuse, he's acknowledged it. He acknowledged it at the time. In a lot of ways, my own blood turned their back on me. And then the other half of my blood was unknown. So here I was going through a very important part of my upbringing. You know, the time when you're first menstruating and really having identity, and I was alone. And I was fed lies about half of my blood, and the other half of my blood was unavailable. And then the woman who brought me into the world was just plain mean. And the reason why I speak on behalf of these aspects of my childhood is because I'm trying to paint the picture of how important it is to know your blood, to be able to see and peer down that ancestral lineage, something that I was not able to do until recently. And thank God I am now being able to see and unweave and unbind and try to heal all these things passed down to me so that I don't pass them to my children. However, I see today many people choosing this path for the souls that they want to bring into the world because they feel entitled in doing so. And I think they do it without consideration of the true impacts of what it does to a child to conceive them via egg donation, sperm donation, surrogacy. I have a background in anthropology, so I'm very interested in the very human aspects of this, the very physiological, evolutionary aspects of this, of bringing a newborn into this world and not allowing them and choosing for them that they will not suckle at the breast of their blood mother, or they will not grow in the womb of their blood mother, or they will not be held and cherished by their blood father, or the only womb they've known, whether or not it's their own blood mother. They will be stripped of her and given to strangers. And the impacts that this has on a newborn, I'm sure, are monumental. I know this from having children of my own. All a newborn wants and needs is its mother, its true blood mother. Her smell, her essence, her energy, her milk, her breast to snuggle against, her breath, her beating heart, the heartbeat that drummed them into this world over 9 months. That's what a newborn needs. And we are so hubris in our human science, in our playing of God, and the way that we've stripped divine co-creation out of our reality and inserted it with man-made co-creation, very different things, that we think this is okay. And I fear that no one's actually truly considered these things. It's become a monetary reality for the doctors and the providers assisting in this technology. It's made children not a blessing, not a gift from God, not a privilege. It's made them an accessory. It's made them something that's entitled, when I don't believe that this is what children are for. Children are souls. You're literally bringing a soul and a being and a spirit into this world. It has nothing to do with us as the parents. And if you're having children because I want a baby, I don't think that's the right reason, personally. I think the right reason to have a child is because you want to know this soul who's coming through. You want to meet them and face them and love them for all that they are and all that they aren't, and you want to help guide them to being their best selves, to aligning with their soul path, whatever that means, to helping them grow exactly the way they need to, exactly the way that they are destined to. Not because you want a mini-me, or because you want a child, or because you want to do all the things you didn't get as a child. I don't think these are the right reasons, and I think these are the prevailing reasons. And thus this technology grows. I see ads on YouTube of young women my age telling other women to donate their eggs. Not only does that commodify a woman's body and her eggs, but it also strips the spirituality and the true divinity and miracle of bringing life into this world. And it strips that soul, that child, that human material physiological being that does exist in this reality, in this dimension. You're stripping them of the one thing they actually need, their mother, and the consequences. I can't see into the future, right? But I know from personal experience, the wounds I have around not suckling the milk of my blood mother, or growing in her womb, or knowing her, impact me to this day. It's still something I'm unweaving. I'll probably be unweaving my whole life. Thank God I recognize it. I mean, honestly. However, choosing this for someone else without consideration of all these things, I think is very selfish and very harmful to humans and humanity and the souls coming into this world. Also, because this is very relevant, if the reason these technologies are being used is also because so many women and men are infertile, then this is merely a band-aid solution. Why are so many people infertile? Could it be the plastics that we're exposed to in our clothes, in our makeup, in our deodorant, in our perfume, in our sheets, in our beds, in the rugs, and the plates, and the forks, and the food? Could it be all these artificial fragrances and colors and all these chemicals that are known to be harmful? Could it be the stress of modernity, of living so far away from nature, so disconnected from source, from spirituality, something that you cannot strip away from humans? I would argue, from an anthropological perspective, spirituality and religion and connection to source in the way we have it, conscious co-creation with the divine in our realities, is fundamentally human. It is one of the things that makes us fundamentally human. All animals have a gift. All beings, all life, the ocean, the trees, right? The birds, whatever, humans. We all have different gifts. And to strip spirituality and religion and this conscious co-creation and self-reflection and awareness away from these conversations, away from our upbringing of children, away from the aspect of creating life. It is not a small thing. It's huge. To take this out of the conversation, to not question why are people infertile, and fix that instead of a band-aid solution of, oh, we can just use all these modern man-made technologies despite the risks, despite the failures. It is not benign for women to inject hormones into themselves. It is not benign to extract eggs from your body. It is not benign to be a father to children you don't know, or a mother to children you don't know. It is not benign to grow someone else's baby in your womb and then give it away immediately after birth. It is not benign to do these things. It is not benign. And people just glaze over it like it's no big deal. It is a huge deal. It's so ignorant and arrogant and selfish to not consider all the aspects and to break it down to this blasé thing. It's shocking to me. As a child of this technology, I would never do it, ever. I would never endorse it. I would never praise someone else for doing it. When I meet people who have done this, I tell them my honest opinion. No one likes to hear it, but someone needs to say it. And if I'm that person, fine. Because these things hold weight. We need to consider our children. We need to consider the impacts of these technologies. I read that 1/3 of babies born via in vitro fertilization, IVF, have some kind of blood disorder. I was born with anemia. It is something I've had to deal with my whole life. Although now through diet and many other things, I feel like I finally have it taken care of, but I've had to get iron transfusions and take iron supplements my whole life and all the consequences and problems that come along with that, like, that is not benign. And anemia is probably one of the least severe blood disorders you could have. Is that common knowledge for people who choose this path for their children? I don't know. I don't think so. And not to mention the pain that I know these other women who helped create me hold. They both don't really have children of their own. My birth mother has no blood children. My biological mother has a blood child, but I didn't grow in her womb. I didn't suckle at her breast. She did not raise me. She did not even meet me. We didn't even meet each other until I was 18 years old. She has a daughter, but she's not my mother. And my mother is my mother, but I'm not really her daughter. Do you see how this becomes complicated in a way that isn't natural? It's not right. Not that everything natural is good, right? I understand there's nuance. Life is a gray area, right? However, I think we need to be more conscious of all of our choices. We need to think critically. If something's uncomfortable, there's a reason why. We need to be able to talk about these things. Someone needs to say it, and I'm here to say it. These technologies are not good. They are hurting us more than they're benefiting us. If you are infertile, or if you're a same-sex couple, let's look into that stuff. Not that being the same sex is wrong in any way. However, adopt a child. Adopt a child. Maybe if you were meant to have blood children, you would be attracted to the same sex. Maybe that's not your life path. I truly believe that. I truly believe the design from source that you can very easily witness in humans and other creatures, however, we're talking about humans, is a man and a woman. That's literally how you create life. So why would that not be the best way to raise life? It just is so simple to me, and anything else is illogical. And if you're having problems conceiving, even in an opposite sex couple, why is that? Are you with the right partner? Are you actually meant to have children in this lifetime? Are you struggling with health issues or personal issues that you need to resolve before bringing life to this earth? Are you creating more ancestral trauma for your lineage? Is your lineage meant to continue? Truly, I think these are really important questions to ask. A baby is not a right. It's a privilege. It's a gift from God. And I think part of the infertility crisis is also that all these women are now convinced that they need to nurture and grow a career instead of the next generation. And they're convinced that that is more important, that serving your career or a company or a business is the end all be all, that is satisfactory, that is more important than children. So women are older and older and older having children, and our biology for having children as women runs out. We only menstruate for a certain part of our lives. We are only fertile for a certain part of our lives. And women are getting closer and closer and closer to that age of infertility before they start having children. My mother was in her 40s when she had me, my birth mother. And so many women now, as a mother, I'm 25, almost. I'm a rare breed these days. Most women in my circle, in my town having children are in their 30s. Early 30s is rare too. Most of them are 35, 36, 37 having their first child. So no wonder we're having problems having babies. Y'all's time is running out from your choices. From your choices that you made because our society has fed us a lie that being a mother is not satisfying, that it's not important, that your fertility can wait, that you need to go party and fuck and drink and do drugs and get all the tattoos and get the education and start a business and have a career and kill yourself doing all these things that are really masculine and not feminine in the first place. And then you can have babies. But this is what kills me too. Then these women who are older will have the babies, and they're not even watching their own damn babies. They're with nannies. They're with relatives only, and they hardly have a relationship. They go back to work after 6 weeks. They go back to work after a few months. And that baby is now raised by a stranger, not by its mother. What are we doing to humanity? Y'all, this is not the design. This is not right. This is having lasting impacts already. I can already see the impacts this has on the children as a mother who witnesses children all day that are not my own, right? Like, we go to parks, we go out, we hang out with people. When I go to the parks, do you know how many mothers are there with their children? Almost zero. It's mostly nannies. So these children are just being raised by strangers. It's really heartbreaking. Babies who are a month old, 2 months old. I saw someone's kids, she had 3 children, this woman, and they're with a nanny. Where's the mom? What's she doing? It was very evident that this was not a once in a while kind of thing. A baby that was like 1 or 2 months old sleeping in the carrier of a nanny very comfortably, obviously being fed probably formula out of a bottle. Of course, I'm making a few assumptions here, but I feel like my assumptions are pretty accurate. That's when children are accessories. Why are we sold this lie? Why do we believe this illusion that being a parent, that being a mother is not important? That our children don't actually need us, their blood. Your children need you. Mama, your children need you. Dada, your children need you. They don't need strangers and nannies. They need you. That's the design. Of course they need community. We all do. Of course they need aunties and uncles and brothers and sisters and cousins and granddaddies and grandmommies. Like, of course they need those things too, but they need you, Mom. They need you, Dad. What are you doing? Is your career really important? Like, that important? More important than the next generation that's going to carry humanity into the future? What kind of trauma are you instilling in your lineage by deferring your children to strangers for everything? All because y'all think your career is more important than having children. And it shows via the age you are when you finally have children, the way you maybe create your children, and the ways in which you exist with your children or without them once they're in the world. It's very painful to watch as a mother, very painful to witness as someone who didn't know her blood for most of her life. I only met my biological mother 6 years ago. Only a quarter of my life have I even known her, and we haven't even spent that much time together. And you guys are having your own blood children and you're not even being with them. It's beyond me. I know people need to make money to survive. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about women who choose a career over children. No, you cannot have it all. I'm sorry. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That is not the way our ancestors did it and thrived. Like, we are not thriving, y'all. We're barely surviving. We're messing up our kids via all this stuff. Someone has to say it. I'm saying it. That's what I know to be true. And Source feels it too. the divine, God, goddess, the great mother, the universe, whatever, feels it too. We're messing up. And I'm speaking on behalf of a woman, a mother, a soul created and brought to this earth via this technology, who carries the lasting impacts of it every single day. Every single day. And I am so grateful to exist. I don't want that to be taken the wrong way either. Of course, life is a miracle, a blessing. This experience is magic and it's hard, but it's beautiful, and I'm so grateful to experience this. However, I see the darkness in creating children this way. I feel it. And I'm very blessed because I have 2 children that were truly gifts from God. Truly. Before I got pregnant with my first, I was told I had premature ovarian failure at 19. I was told I might not have children. I had so many health issues. And I went on this healing path, changed my diet, changed my lifestyle, lost every single friend that I had. And then I met a man when I wasn't looking for a man, when I had short hair and I got all the tattoos that I thought would make me cool, that I thought were me, and they weren't. And 6 months later, with a copper IUD, with these fertility issues, with these health issues, while basically binge drinking, I got pregnant. And it was shocking. However, it was the most certain I've ever felt about something that, wow, it hit me. Like, this soul, this being wants to exist. They might need to exist. I realized that all this other crap had happened to make way for this child, for this soul. And who was I to get in the way? Why I couldn't? Why would I? Before then, I was convinced that I would never have children, and if I got pregnant, I would have an abortion. And then here I was, faced with this very situation, and I knew with every fiber of my being, through my bones, into my soul, the blood coursing through my veins was vibrating, telling me, this child must come through. This is meant to happen. This soul needs to exist. And without hesitation, I answered the call. Yes, of course. Literally didn't even have a second guess about it. Yes, this is, I get it. I understand my mission. And that's my oldest son. And then 7 months after he was born, what a whirlwind that all was, my second came through in a very similar fashion. Very similar fashion. And it was again, okay, these souls, they are in a lot of ways a pair. These souls need to come through, and who am I to get in the way? Of course I'm making choices and having sex, right? And that's how we create life. However, the circumstances surrounding both of my children's conception is a little mysterious. In some ways, in the health I was facing in the time of my life, given the signs or no signs that I was ready to have another child or a child at all. After being told all these stories about my fertility, maybe these children were waiting to come through until I was with my partner, until I changed my ways, until I lost all my friendships and I was ready to set foot down another path. And I wonder if they would have even come through had I not met my partner. I don't think they would have. And so these are all things to consider. And I realized when I gave birth to my first son and I held him to my chest, the first baby I ever held in my whole life at 22, like days after turning 22. 9 days, right? I think so. 9 days after turning 22. And he suckled at my breast, this child of my womb, the one that I grew. Oh my God. And I birthed him with midwives, not in a hospital. The path there was treacherous. Getting there, everyone doubted me, but I did it. And I suckled him, and he looked up at me, and his crying stopped as soon as I looked at him. And the milk flowed. And I realized in that moment all that I had been missing when I was a newborn, when I came out of the womb. That I was searching for my blood, and my blood wasn't there. That it wasn't a stranger, but it wasn't quite right. And I realized that in that moment. And thus has set me down this path of trying to put words to this whole issue and to this whole topic. And I fear I'll never have the right words to truly convey this message, that maybe people won't understand, or it'll get lost in translation or whatever, but I need to just get it out. I can't live my life being afraid of what other people are going to think or not think, or like or not like, or understand or not understand. I just need to let it out, because I don't hear anyone talking about the bad aspects of this from this perspective, from literally someone who's created this way. And I suspect that if anyone who was created this way has nothing but positivity to say, that they're masking some kind of pain and trauma, or they haven't yet, maybe they're not ready to realize it and unweave the tapestry of their being. However, I am here doing that work for my lineage, for my blood, because I realize how important blood is, how important family is. Nurture versus nature is a very real question. And it's a divine dance and duality and polarity, like just about everything else. However, the parts of me that are nature, that come from my blood, the blood that I didn't know, is spooky, to be honest. I mean, spooky is like the only word I could choose. The parallels, the similarities, not only in my physical appearance and my voice and my affect, but my interests, my likes, my dislikes, my fears. It is spooky, and something you don't realize when you don't realize until you realize. And if you don't get to look in that mirror and have that cord bond every single day with your blood, it is a big question. You start to question, how much of me is actually me? What is me, right? You start going down the line of all the things that you need to have a spiritual existence and to evolve and grow. So, to wrap it up, let's figure out why everyone's so damn infertile, solve that problem, and stop playing God. Let's stop pretending like we know better and we know what's best for others. Let's start being conscious about why we're bringing children into this world, why we might be having trouble bringing children into this world, and if these technologies are actually good, are actually what's true and right and good in the grand scheme of things, from a spiritual and an evolutionary and biological perspective. What might feel good in the moment or seem like a good thing in like a modernity conditioned way are not what is true with a capital T, or what is even right. Because what's right and what's good are very different things. And with this, I think my transmission has ended. Blessings to you.